plastic straw. That's what finally solved a 35-year-old murder in Michigan. But this story starts on an ordinary September morning in 1989, when Mother dropped her son at school and never came home. For 35 years, her killer lived freely just 50 miles away. This is the Beverly Wivell case, and this is how DNA finally spoke. Beverly Ann Wivell, 30 years old, a mother living in Canton Township, Michigan, a quiet suburban community about 30 miles west of Detroit. In 1989, Canton Township was experiencing rapid growth. The population had exploded from 24,000 in 1970 to over 57,000 by 1989. New families were moving in constantly, drawn by good schools and affordable housing. Beverly was raising her young son, Dale, who was 12 years old in 1989. She was a devoted mother. Friends and family would later describe her as caring, protective, and completely focused on giving Dale a good life. Every morning, the same routine. Get Dale ready for school, drive him there, drop him off, head home. September 18th, 1989, started like any other day. Dale got ready for school. Beverly drove him there. She dropped him off at the school entrance. She waved goodbye. She got back in her car. It would be the last normal moment Dale Swanson would ever have. September 18th, 1989. Morning. Beverly drops Dale at school. She gets back in her car. She's heading home on familiar roads through Canton Township. But somewhere between the school and home, something goes terribly wrong. Hours later, a passerby discovers a woman on the side of Geddes Road in Superior Township, just a few miles from Canton. She's critically wounded. She's been shot. Her legs have been run over by at least one vehicle, possibly multiple times. Emergency responders rush her to the hospital, but Beverly Ann Wivell dies from her injuries. Investigators immediately begin working the scene. They find Beverly's vehicle abandoned at Griffin Park in Canton Township. The driver's door is open. The engine is still running. Her purse is inside. Her shoes are still in the car. There are no signs of a struggle inside the vehicle. Everything suggests she was taken by force, quickly, by someone who knew what they were doing. The evidence tells a horrific story. Beverly was abducted from her vehicle, sexually assaulted, shot, and left on the roadside. A rape kit is completed at the hospital. DNA evidence is collected from Beverly's body. In 1989, DNA technology is still relatively new to law enforcement. The FBI had only started using DNA profiling in criminal cases in 1988. Michigan crime labs were just beginning to build DNA databases. But investigators know this evidence could be critical. The DNA profile is entered into the Michigan State Police database. They search for matches. Nothing. No hits. No suspects. They canvass the area. They interview potential witnesses. They follow every lead. But nothing connects. The case begins to go cold. By 1990, the case is officially cold. Detectives move on to new cases. Beverly's file goes into storage, but it's not forgotten. Every few years, a detective pulls it out, reviews it, looks for new angles. In the early 2000s, when DNA technology improves, they resubmit the evidence. Still no match. For Dale Swanson, life becomes a waiting game. He's 12 when his mother is murdered. He's 15 when the case officially goes cold. He's 20 when he realizes it might never be solved. He's 30 when he accepts that his mother's killer might die before justice is served. Every year that passes makes it less likely the case will ever close. Then in 2018, everything changes. The Golden State Killer case in California opens a new chapter for cold case investigations and gives Beverly's case a second chance. 2018 California. The Golden State Killer case changes everything. For decades, a serial killer terrorized California, committing at least 13 murders and 50 rapes between 1974 and 1986. Despite having DNA evidence, investigators couldn't identify him until they tried something new: forensic genealogy. Investigators uploaded the killer's DNA profile to GEDmatch, a public genealogy database where people upload their DNA results to find relatives. The DNA didn't match anyone directly, but it matched distant cousins. Investigators built family trees, traced branches, and narrowed down suspects. In April 2018, they arrested Joseph James D'Angelo. The Golden State Killer case was solved after 44 years. This breakthrough opened the floodgates. Suddenly, cold cases across the country were being solved using the same technique. By 2020, forensic genealogy had solved over 200 cold cases nationwide. Michigan was seeing its own breakthroughs. In 2022, Washtenaw County investigators decided it was time to try forensic genealogy on Beverly Wivell's case. They sent the preserved DNA evidence from Beverly's 1989 rape kit to Othram, a private forensic lab in Texas specializing in degraded DNA. Othram builds an advanced DNA profile and uploads it to public genealogy databases. Within weeks, a lead emerges, a family tree connected to the Robbins family in Michigan. Investigators spend months building that family tree, tracing branches, comparing timelines and locations. One name keeps appearing near Canton Township in 1989, Buster Robbins. Robbins is 69 years old now, living in Almont, Michigan. He has no criminal record, no direct connection to Beverly, but his age, proximity, and genetic link make him the prime suspect. Investigators need confirm it. They begin surveillance. In September 2024, detectives collect discarded plastic straws from Robbins' trash. They send them to the Michigan State Police Lab. The DNA is tested and compared against the 1989 evidence from Beverly's case. It's a perfect match. The DNA from the rape kit and the DNA from Robbins' straw are the same person. On September 26, 2024, after 35 years, Buster Robbins is arrested and charged with felony murder. The news shocks Michigan. For Dale Swanson, it's the day he's waited for all his life. He tells reporters, "My mom can finally rest. I can finally rest." As of October 2024, Robbins sits in the Washtenaw County Jail, awaiting trial. Prosecutors say the evidence is overwhelming. The trial is expected in 2025. Beverly Wivell's case is just one of hundreds solved by forensic genealogy. April Tinsley, Christy Myrick, Terry Lynn Hollis. All their cases were solved decades later through the same process.
Court calls People of the State of Michigan versus Buster John Robbins, case 25 F20008. Appearances, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Roland Sachs, Mark White, on behalf of Buster Robbins.
Good morning. Assume you both have seen the order from the circuit court. Judge removed order for the reasons stated on the record. Matter was remanded back to district court, and for further order, the district court shall grant the plaintiff applicant's motion to bind over and order bind over the case to the circuit court. I will bind the matter over. Would you like me to arraign your client?
Your Honor, we would wait for a reading on the record, standing as the court or not give the plaintiff's behalf.
Thank you. We'll enter and not guilty plea on your client's behalf. Anything further?
No, Your Honor. Your Honor, can I approach your son?
Yes. So I think there was some discussion as to those dates and accelerating what would have been the normal date because the need for transcript was not urgent as it was. Did we have any feedback from Judge Slay's office on dates?
I haven't heard back from them, Your Honor. If you want to set it on the 31st, it can be advanced if necessary.
All right, I will set that for July 31st. Judge Slay at 1:30. Reach out to her office. We'd like to accelerate that. Anything else?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Continue.
It's changing how justice works for cold cases everywhere. Beverly was 30 when she died, a young mother, full of life. For 35 years, her story sat in a box marked Unsolved. Now, her name represents progress, perseverance, and the power of DNA. One plastic straw. 35 years of silence. And finally, a chance at justice.
I want her to meet my kids. And that I've done the best I could. And I hope she was proud.
If you found this case compelling, check out my other cold case deep dives where DNA changed everything. And if you have information about any unsolved case, contact your local authorities. Your tip could be the breakthrough a family has waited decades for. For Beverly, for Dale, for every family still waiting. Justice may be delayed, but it's not denied. I'm Silence of Truth, and I'll see you in the next case.